All right, boys, I'm going to run you through a full appointment setting course, right? Start to finish. There's so much valuable knowledge in this, so don't miss out. Go through the whole thing, right? If you want to make 10 grand a month as an appointment setter, have location freedom, be able to do whatever you want, go to Thailand, go to Bali, go to Dubai, do whatever, get your foot in the door to sales, right? This is what you need to learn, right? Now, what have I done? I've done over like 500 sets. I've done over 150K cash collected. So I've got a bit of a knowledge when it comes to appointment setting, right? And how to get them to show, how to get the most cash collected, what processes to run them through. And I'm going to break that all down in this video, right? So stay tuned. What is appointment setting? Appointment setting is the process of scheduling a meeting to a closer so we can then close the deal for cash, right? So the goal is to move the lead further along the sales process by getting them to commit to a specific time or basically like a Google Meet or a Zoom, right? So how it actually works in simple terms is, first of all, the lead comes through the sales funnel, usually from paid ads or organic traffic through YouTube, social media. So there's the initial you basically make the initial contact once that lead comes through, right? And if it's an appointment, if it's a, through paid ads, they will basically see an ad. It will then go to a landing page, a funnel. They'll watch a VSL. They already got information about the business, what the company's actually offering, right? So they're already slightly warm in most cases. So first of all, right, you're the initial contact. So you reach out to a potential client via phone, email, or message. You basically qualify them. So you briefly ask questions to make sure they're a good fit for what you're actually offering and have money to invest. You then set the appointment, right? You propose a time to meet or talk to discuss the needs further. You then confirm it, and you basically book in that time, right, with the actual closer. So the fundamentals and the commission. So most appointment setters get paid on a base salary to set, and also 5% comes on top, cash collected. So usually a KPI, and usually you get KPI bonuses of like $250 to like $500 every 50K cash collected you make. Some companies may be different. They're usually base salary is like $1,500 to like 5K, depending on the offer and how high level it is. I would say the average is $1,500 to $2,500, and then you get 5% comms on top. So if you do 100K cash collected, you essentially make 5K. Right, so the fundamentals of setting, you're essentially the first point of contact to the prospect, and here are the main things to look out for. Conviction and state of being. You want to be fully convicted on a set call. You know what you're talking about, you know what you're doing, and you want to have a really strong state of being, happy state of being. They need to believe you have their best interest in mind, right? You almost need to imagine that you have got like your arm around them, right? And you're speaking to them and you're like their brother or sister guiding them through this journey to be able to transform their life or whatever the offer is. Focus on the prospect and not the set, right? When you focus on the actual prospect and the other person on the other end of the phone, you will get the most out of the set call because you're actually listening to them, their problems, and you're essentially not focusing on just the set, because they don't feel good on the set call, they won't show up to the closing call, or they won't close. They won't come in as hot. Keep the energy really high. It's all about how you make them really feel. And I just want to point out here, like B2C, obviously you keep energy super high and you want to make them feel good. B2B, you want to do that as well, but it's a little bit more clinical. And what I mean by clinical, it's like, you don't have to be so like high energetic. It's like they know, they're there to improve their business or whatever it may be. So you can have that, honest conversation with them in the set call, right? Listening, don't be concerned about your own process, right? So you're going to have obviously like a script that you're going to run them through a framework. Don't be concerned about that framework, right? You want to focus on the prospect. You want to run them through the framework, but you don't want to be too robotic about everything. You want to have context on the person in front of you, get context about them. You want to find their number one hot button, aka their problem, and get clarity of that situation, right? And chunk down on that problem to get clarity on that hot button and to get the clarity of the prospect situation and where they're currently at. The Heaven Island, the next chapter, and what they want to achieve. Once you actually get clarity on their problem and it makes logical sense in your head on why they need to do this, and if it doesn't make logical sense, you have to ask them questions basically until it does make logical sense. Otherwise, it's like, why are they even doing this? Right? You basically, and then once you go through that process, you want to be able to show them like where we can get them, right, on the set call. And this will make a lot more sense once I run through the framework with you. You need to understand what's holding the prospect back from achieving their goals, right? You can touch on this slightly. You need to address the 1.0 version before you make the pitch, right? Like, because everyone comes into a sales system with a 1.0 version of themselves, right? So they come in and they've got their own belief systems and whatnot, and you don't need to change their belief systems on a set call. The closer will do that, especially B2C. But you want to be able to make sure that by the end of the set call, they are feeling like their 2.0 version of themselves on the other end. Pitch the product in a way that it's a bridge between Heaven and Hell Island. That way they want it. Helps them facilitate them to make decisions. Is there an actual problem to solve? Do they want to make a change, right? Do they sound like this is something they actually want? Listen to the tone and qualify the answers. Making sure we're doing all these things are super important when setting someone via phone ensures we're helping the best way possible and not setting someone who doesn't need this or isn't qualified in the closer's calendar. Input versus output. Everything in setting and even cold calling is all inputs. You can control the inputs. You can also somewhat control the outputs, but without the inputs, you'll never get the output, right? So input versus output is a sales term used by many people when outreaching. Inputs are things we can control. For example, how many dials we make, how many emails we send out, how many texts we send out. If we focus on these things, we can control and put the inputs in. It is inevitable that we'll get more output, right? Outputs are what we get out of our inputs. For example, how many answers we get, how many emails response we get, how many texts we get, how many book calls we get, live calls, show rate, live call close rate, how many closes we get, and making more money. So if there's ever a case we're not hitting KPIs or we're not up to standard, think of the input, because with more input, the output will follow, right? And there can obviously be constraints in terms of like, you may get a bunch of book calls on a calendar and, only you may, for example, book 10 people and only 5 of them show up, right? So that's a 50%, basically you're cutting your calls in half. So it's like 50% show rate, which is like not the greatest. So there's obviously a problem in the quality of how you're actually setting these people and making them feel, and it comes back down to the fundamentals. We've missed something in the fundamentals, and we need to focus on these fundamentals here to be able to make sure that, we improve our show rate, right? Or basically the things we have control over. Like, we don't have control over how many answers we get, right? You just double dial everyone and put in the inputs and you'll get more answers. However, show rate, for example, is what you have the most control over as a setter. So it's very important that you make sure the quality of the set is up to standard. So not only they're showing, but they're coming in hot to the closer's calendar. For example, let's imagine there's a baseline here, right? And the baseline's here when they come into the closer's calendar. If you have an average as set call and they do show up and they're just there because they're there because like your set call was just good enough. They may come into the set call like -20, right? And like that means the closer's got to do more work to be able to get them back over the line. They may come in and may not open up, for example. They may come into a closing call, be very closed off and in their shell, not answer questions for the closer, which then makes it harder for the closer. Closer's got to do reframes, things like that to actually get them to open up. If you have a really good set call, they'll come in very open and honest. They'll answer all the questions. They'll run through the process. And there's more likelihood that you will actually get the close at the end of the actual set call, which means you get more cash. Eliminate no-shows, right? No-shows is probably the biggest thing as a setter, and it's the biggest thing you can focus on. So what we aim for as an appointment setter is a 70% show rate. However, actually making this possible can sometimes be challenging, right? So like it comes down to the fundamentals, and not everyone's going to be show. That's why it's a 70% show rate. Usually you miss something in the fundamentals when it comes down to what they are not showing and asking yourself, what can I improve on? What was the one thing that you need to do better on the next call, and make sure you have clarity around that so you can actually fix the problem. Like if they don't show, listen to the call, break it down, look at the fundamentals, and be like, hey, what did I miss? Where did this go wrong? Where did I maybe not make them feel good? Where did I not get the problem? So the biggest needle mover for a set call is, how do we make them feel overall? Because if they're feeling good and they feel like we can actually help them, they will show up to the closing call. And if they feel like your energy isn't on point, you didn't understand them, didn't get clarity around the situation, right? We must make them feel that this is going to be the perfect solution for their problem and give them intent to show up to the call because they think it's going to change their lives, which is good. So by the end of the set call, we need to make sure we're making them feel really good. Eliminate no-shows. When we review our no-shows, these are a few things to look out for. 5 main things to be looking out for in call reviews is hot buttons. Did we get a proper understanding of their situation, their main problem, what they want to solve, and did they understand it clearly and see it in HD quality, right? Did we future pace their goals, lifestyle compared to where they're currently at the moment? Did they feel excited? Like after we dug into the pain and we moved into desire, did we basically G them up and get them excited? For example, if we move into desire and we say, okay, well, putting money in business aside, you sound like, you're absolutely going to smash this. You are in a position that is going to, get you to this next level. You've got the work ethic, you've got everything there. We can definitely help you and get you to the other side of the bridge. It's going to make them feel like they have you were basically solving their problem, right? We're crossing that bridge for them. We're helping them do that. Were they skeptical? Did we address skepticisms in the call? Skepticisms is a gray scale. The more skeptical they are, the more we need to address it. We should always bring it up after FQ2 for clarity and transparency. Overview other things to identify as well. How was my energy? Did I sound like, did we sound like we're calling with good news? Or did we sound like we're from a morgue, right? The energy needs to be up. Did the prospect believe we had their best interest at heart? We basically want to help them. That's how you want to feel, right? Keeping track of numbers. Most sales offers will keep KPI trackers, and we can use them to fill the numbers at the end of each day so we can see how we did for the day, and we can get clarity on where we need to improve. So the best reps who make the most money always look at their numbers for the day and get clarity around why the day went really good or really bad. So they can either continue what they are doing or make small corrections to improve calls and cash collected. Numbers do not lie. Look at the numbers, analyze them, and do better where necessary. Never get disheartened. If you're not getting the KPIs, keep your state of being high. You want this. This will bleed into calls. If you're disheartened or your state of being drops because you're having a bad day or bad week, that will basically feed into calls, and they will feel that because you're now on a lower energy, right? So keep your conviction, stick to the process from start to finish, and you'll see a lot more success. Be ruthless. Actually be a fucking dog. Be ruthless with outreach. You must put in your inputs. So if your input's $70 a day, $100 a day, whatever that may be, click dial. Keep clicking dial. People have scarcity about calling because they think their prospect is on a break, or they will be busy at work, or you'll be an annoyance. This is not true. This is your mind playing games on you, especially at the start when you get into your sales journey or whatever you want to call it. You're going to be thinking, oh, should I call this person? What if they're on lunch? What if they're busy? What if they don't feel good? Don't worry about that. As long as it's as long as I've put this here. So yeah, dogs gotta eat. Don't get in your feelings about calling someone. It should be effortless, like you have done this already 1,000 times, and keep that mentality. It's super important. Never get fear from calling someone, right? You always hit them. Put any limiting beliefs aside. You calling is making excuse me. You calling is making you money. Become ruthless with it. As long as it's after like 7 a.m. their time and no later than 10 p.m., call the prospects. Inputs equal outputs, right? Plus outputs, and you'll have more success this way. Now, the setting framework, right? This is what we basically want to run them through, especially for a B2C offer, where we need to change their beliefs a little bit to be able to get them over the line. So this is where we call the prospect and introduce who we are, right? Now, frame, main motivation. This is where we set the frame of the call, making us the authority. Then we want to be able to get their pain, their challenges, job pain. We dig on the challenges, the pain in their life, and why they're experiencing that and the impact, right? Then we hit them with the why now. Once we've got full clarity around their situation in this section and their problem and what we can actually help them solve, and it must make logical sense, we then move to a why now, which is like, you've been in this job for X amount of time. What was that moment that made you say enough is enough? And then they'll answer that and tell you why they really want to do this now. The why now question solidifies that he's looking to make a change now in his life. Income FQ1. And I want to note, you can basically put these in any order you want. I would say maybe, yeah, you can put these in any order. Like you could do the income FQ1 basically after the frame or after the pain, for example. That way you can get a quicker FQ. You just got to be able to give them a reason why you're asking it, so they don't be like, why are you asking my income? This is where we ask them how much to replace their income is, right? And then after we get the income, we know if they're like somewhat qualified, so we can continue the set call, because you don't want to waste time on a set call. So if you waste time on a set call, like for example, speak to a DQ who's disqualified for over 20-30 minutes, like you're just wasting your time. So getting their income and knowing if they've actually got an income, got money off the bat is what you want to do, because that way you can essentially know if they got money and you can move on with the set call. So income FQ1, this is where we ask them how much to replace their current income is, and like how much we need to help them make to be able to replace their income, so we can help them. Then we move on to goals. What are the goals? Get them to really feel this, right? With the goals, like cross that bridge. Like for example, like you can ask them and be like, what does the future self of you look like? The 2.0 version of you. What are some of the goals that you want to hit? And then they'll tell you the goals, and you're like really excited for them and make it sound like we can get them there. How much to reach them goals? How much money do you need to reach them goals? Basically after that, you ask them like to be able to actually reach them goals, John, like how much money do we actually need to help you make to be able to actually reach them goals? And then they'll tell you how much they want to make. You now basically have what they are making, what they want to make, and you note all of this down, right? Then you move to the investment and how much they're willing to put down. And in the investment side, they'll basically tell you, $2,000, a couple grand, and then you know that they're qualified, they want to put money down. And if they don't have money or they're uncertain, you may have to send them the video, get in contact with them again, and run them through everything, right? Pitch. We then run them through a pitch of the services we provide for them. So every offer and company will be a little bit different. You run them through that. It will be the basic pitch, unlike the closer, and that way they know what we're actually offering. We then book the call. So we solidify a time for them, and we make the closer sound really good. So they show up to that call, and they basically, they actually answer the questions when they come to the closing call, and they're not closed off. And based off what you've told me, I think we can definitely help with XYZ. What makes the most sense is I book you in with the head success coach. we get you rocking and rolling and book them in. You then want to basically tie that down and just ask them how they're feeling about everything. Are they feeling good? Is there any nerves? Is there any uncertainty? Like, how are you feeling? If they say they're feeling good, awesome. You can now move on and then dial another person. If they say that there is some fear there and some uncertainty, what you basically want to do is ask them why, and it's totally normal to feel that way, and basically get everything out on the table so they're feeling good about themselves and they're feeling good about that next call. So this is basically a full rundown of like setting. When you do cold calls, you may get gatekeepers. So a gatekeeper is where like you call a business, for example, for B2B, and a office chick picks up. So sometimes you may make a call and get a gatekeeper on the other end, and this is totally fine. Don't freak out. All we do here is push you through a state of importance. When a gatekeeper asks us who you are, just respond with, "My name is X, Harley. I've been speaking to John recently. It's super urgent. Can you pass the phone to him?" And they'll either say sure, but if they say no, stand on your word and basically tell them, "No, I really need to speak with John. It's about an email I'm trying to send him, and it's super important." Usually, in most cases, the phone will just get handed over, right? And then you can actually speak, and then you can go through your process and whatnot. Usually, a cold call is a little bit different. It's a little bit more brief than this. This is more like hot leads coming in, which is like what most offers will do, because you've seen most success with this. Yeah, but this is an overview of like a setting breakdown. If you do want more information and you want to basically learn setting and sales, how to work fully remote, make 10 grand a month, 10 even more, like 10 grand's like a pretty baseline, what you can actually make on a good company, a good offer. Go to the description, send me a DM on Telegram, and we'll get you into the inner Wi-Fi. The inner Wi-Fi will be able to break down everything. We have weekly calls. We've got other boys in there killing it in sales, absolutely smashing it out of the park, and you'll be able to network with them. Also upgrade your fitness, your mindset, your levels, your skills, become a better person, have a network of brothers, killers by your side who want to actually get it. And that way, we can get your foot into the door, start making some money online, which I think will be amazing. If you're new to the space, if you're new to the space and you want to start making money online, have location freedom, sales is the number one skill you can possibly learn, right? It will increase your confidence. You'll basically learn how to sell, people's pain points, why people ask, why people buy things, and there's only benefits to it. Great starting place for anyone who wants to run a business, wants to make money online. Go to the description, send me a message. Let's get you rocking and rolling. Let's get you started. Hope you boys enjoyed and got value from this. Peace.